The most dangerous thing in the village was not the storm, not the river, and not even the tax collector with his sticky fingers and empty smile. It was a young man named Kareem, whose pride had grown so large that it could have rented its own house. Kareem lived in a small riverside village where everyone knew everyone and where even the hens seemed to gossip before laying eggs. He worked with his father in a pottery shop that had been in the family for 3 generations. His father, old Musa, was the kind of man who could make a cracked jar look respectable just by wrapping it in a cloth and speaking kindly to it. He was quiet, patient, and full of old wisdom. Kareem, on the other hand, had recently discovered success, and success had been carrying him around like a prince. It all started the day Kareem made a beautiful clay vase for the annual spring fair. It was slim, smooth, shining with blue patterns, and had a neck so elegant that even the peacocks paused to stare at it. The villagers gathered around the stall, nodding and praising. "Subhanallah, this is a masterpiece," said one woman. "This vase looks like it belongs in a palace," said another. An old farmer squinted and said, "This boy's hands are blessed." Kareem smiled, then smiled wider, then stood so straight he nearly became a spear. By sunset, he was not just proud of the vase, he was proud of himself, which is where trouble often begins. He began speaking like a man who had personally taught clay how to obey. From that day, he walked through the village with his chin lifted high, as if the ground beneath him had become too ordinary to deserve his attention. If someone praised his work, he acted as if praise was his birthright. If someone else showed a skill, he laughed politely in the way rich people laugh at poor jokes. One evening, his father was repairing a cracked jug by lamplight. Kareem looked at the old man's wrinkled hands and chuckled. "Baba, why do you still waste time on these tiny repairs? People want big, bold, perfect things. They want my style." Old Musa did not look up. He kept pressing the clay with steady fingers. A jar does not need to shout to hold water. Kareem laughed. "That sounds clever, but old. The world belongs to those who make noise." His father nodded slowly. "Yes, the world notices noise, but it remembers wisdom." Kareem waved the words away like flies. Now, in that village, there was a tradition. Once every year, the governor of the district came to inspect local crafts at the grand spring fair. The potters who impressed him most might receive orders for the city market and maybe, just maybe, a place in the palace workshops. This was no small matter. It could change a family's fortune. Kareem heard about a rare challenge. Each potter could submit one special piece. The winner would be honored before the whole district. The moment Kareem heard this, his pride put on dancing shoes. "This is my moment," he declared. "I will make the greatest piece this village has ever seen. Not one vase, not 2. I will make a giant ceremonial jar taller than a child." His father raised an eyebrow. "And how will you fire it?" Kareem waved his hand. "Simple. You think too small, Baba. Big results need big courage." Old Musa smiled in a way that Kareem felt slightly nervous, though not enough to make him wise. Big courage is good. Big ego is dangerous. Kareem did not like that sentence at all, because it sounded like truth wearing slippers. He began working at once. Day and night he molded clay, measured water, and shaped the enormous jar. It was beautiful at first, round and strong like a full moon. Kareem admired it so much he started talking to it. "You and I," he whispered to the jar, "will make everyone jealous." He even named it the Emperor of Pots, which, in his opinion, was an excellent name. When his younger cousin came by and asked whether the jar was ready, Kareem puffed his chest and said, "Not ready, perfect. There is a difference." His cousin looked at the jar and asked, "Is it supposed to lean like that?" Kareem frowned. "It is not leaning, it is preparing to impress." The boy nodded as if he understood, though he clearly did not. As the fair approached, the village children began circling the pottery shop like hungry birds. They wanted to see the famous jar. Kareem loved the attention. He acted like a king receiving visitors. "Careful," he said dramatically. "Do not breathe too loudly near it." One little boy whispered, "Is it strong?" Kareem laughed. "My dear child, this jar will survive storms, elephants, and perhaps even your grandfather's cooking." That same evening, old Musa came to inspect the work. He tapped the side of the giant jar gently and listened with his ear like a man hearing secrets. Kareem crossed his arms. "Well?" His father studied the base, then the neck, then the thin line where the clay had not been pressed evenly. "It is lovely, but you rushed the lower edge." Kareem rolled his eyes. "You always find a flaw. That is what old age does. It turns every masterpiece into a warning sign." Old Musa smiled, but there was sadness in it. "A warning sign can save a traveler from a cliff." Kareem, being young and foolish, answered, "Then let me fall so I can learn to fly." His father looked at him for a long moment. "Pride comes before a fall, my son." Kareem laughed out loud. "That is just a saying for people who fear greatness." The fair arrived with drums, banners, and enough people to fill the square with noise and noses. Stalls glowed with brass lamps. The smell of roasted nuts and sweet tea floated through the air. Every artisan displayed his finest work. Kareem placed his giant jar in the center, like a victorious general arranging his army. The governor arrived, wearing silk robes and a beard so neatly trimmed it seemed to have been drawn by a careful artist. He walked past baskets, copper bowls, woven mats, and carved stools. People bowed. Children ducked behind their mothers. Kareem stood beside his jar, trying to look humble while failing in a very impressive way. At last, the governor stopped before the jar. Kareem smiled. "Your Excellency, behold the finest work in the district. This piece is destined for greatness." The governor nodded. "It is large." Kareem straightened. "Large, yes, but also elegant, powerful, unforgettable." The governor leaned closer. The crowd held its breath. And then a small child, perhaps inspired by mischief, perhaps by fate itself, ran too close and bumped the wooden support beneath the jar. It was only a tiny bump, the kind that should not harm a thing. But the jar, already weakened by Kareem's rushed work, wobbled once, twice, and then let out the saddest cracking sound ever heard by human ears. Kareem froze. The crack spread like lightning. The giant jar split at the base, tilted forward, and collapsed with a crash that sent clay shards flying in all directions. A cloud of dust rose so fast that the governor's shoes disappeared in it. Someone screamed. A donkey brayed in terror. One old woman laughed so hard she nearly dropped her tea. Kareem stood in the middle of the disaster with his mouth open wide enough to swallow his pride, though even that would not have helped now. The emperor of pots had become the emperor of pieces. For a heartbeat, the whole fair went silent. Then came the whispers. Too proud, too rushed. He should have listened to his father. Kareem's face burned brighter than a kiln. He wanted the earth to open and hide him inside a very deep pot. Then old Musa stepped forward. He looked at the broken clay, then at his son, and sighed softly. A pot made with pride cracks faster than one made with patience. Kareem lowered his head. He expected anger, maybe shame, maybe a long lecture that would feel like sand in his ears. Instead, his father picked up one large broken piece and said, "Come, let us make something smaller and better." Kareem blinked. "You are not angry?"
Old Musa chuckled. Anger cannot glue clay, wisdom can. So that night, while the fair continued and people moved on to better things, Karim sat beside his father and helped shape a new piece. It was not big, it was not flashy, it was a simple water jug with a narrow neck, a strong base, and a small blue vine painted around its middle. Karim worked slowly this time. He listened, he measured twice, he pressed the clay properly. He did not brag. He did not name the jug the magnificent master of destiny. He simply made it. When the governor passed by again, he noticed the new jug and smiled. "This one is strong," he said. Old Musa nodded, because it was made with patience. Karim looked at the humble jug, then at the broken shards of his old pride, and for the first time in his life, he understood that greatness is not destroyed by humility, it is destroyed by arrogance. Years later, people in the village still told the story of the boy who built the giant jar and lost it in a moment of pride. But they also told another part of the story, the part that mattered more. They said he learned, and learning is the real beginning of wisdom. And whenever a young person in the village started speaking too loudly about how perfect they were, old Musa would smile and say, "Remember, child, pride comes before a fall." Then he would point to the shelf where the cracked pieces of the Emperor of Pots were kept, as a reminder that even the best clay can break if the hands shaping it become too proud to listen.